Hi all. Okay, so this is the part 2 walkthrough of chapter 10 because apparently every chapter this week is just huge. And we just left off with how a virus infects a plant. So let's go through that starting from the beginning. To infect a plant, a virus, before I forget, remember you can find all the Word doc in the week 2 notes thread under the post, my notes. Okay, virus infecting a plant. To infect a plant, a virus must get past the plant's outer protective layer of cells, right? The epidermis. So if you're doing it with animals, it would be the skin on the plants, usually waxy, just depends on the plant, outside surface, right? This is why if the plant is damaged by chilling, wind, insects, injury, it is more likely to get a virus than if it's a healthy plant. Some insects carry and transmit plant diseases. In animals, you could think of mosquitoes and malaria, right? Farmers and gardeners may spread plant viruses through the use of pruning shears and other tools. Because say you chop off part of a sick plant, then chop off part of a new plant, a good plant, you might transfer that disease. So I guess it's important to wash your gardening shears. I would never have thought about that. Also, infected plants may pass viruses to their offspring. There is no cure for most viral plant diseases, and agricultural scientists focus on preventing infection and on breeding or genetically engineering varieties of crop plants that resist viral infection. In Hawaii, for example, the spread of the papaya ring spot potty virus, PRSV, by aphids wiped out the papaya, Hawaii's second largest crop in certain island regions. But since 1998, farmers have been able to plant a genetically engineered PRSV-resistant strain of papaya, and papayas have been reintroduced into their old habitats. I always think of the Dutch elm disease, or how we used to have a different version of bananas, and then they got sick, so we have the one we use now. See, in animals, you just get through the membrane. Not all animal viruses reproduce in the cytoplasm. For example, viruses called herpes viruses, which can cause chickenpox, shingles, cold sores, and genital herpes, are enveloped DNA viruses that reproduce in a cell's nucleus. And they get their envelopes from the cell's nuclear membrane. Copies of the herpes virus DNA usually remain behind in a mini chromosomes in the nuclei of certain nerve cells. There, they remain latent until some sort of physical stress, such as a cold or sunburn, or emotional stress, triggers virus production. I really think about this with the shingles, because you have the chicken pox. It hangs around. If you're under like a lot of stress, you can get the shingles. Now, thankfully, there's a vaccine for that, the chicken pox. Where was I going? Resulting in unpleasant symptoms. Once acquired herpes infections may flare up repeatedly throughout a person's life. Over 75% of American adults are thought to carry herpes simplex 1, this is the cold sore one, and over 20% carry simplex 2, which is the genital one. This is not as accurate as the book says, because if you have a cold sore and are able to spread at that time herpes 1, and then you give oral sex, or the person who has this gives oral sex to someone, they can receive herpes 1 as a genital herpes, because it will be in their genital region, but it will still be simplex 1. Vice versa, if someone is to give oral sex to a person having herpes 2, they can receive herpes 2 in their mouth area, like a cold sore, because it's basically a cold sore wherever you get it. But luckily, there's a lot of drugs to control outbreak and spread, so if you're just really careful and use safe sex, herpes is no big deal. Just be aware and careful. Okay, the devastating disease AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, is caused by HIV, which is human. I'm putting immuno and human together. Human immunodeficiency virus, a type of RNA virus, which is with some special twists. In outward appearance, the AIDS virus, this is another figure in the book, somewhat resembles the flu or mumps virus. Its envelope enables the HIV to enter and leave the cell much the same way the mumps virus does, but HIV has a different mode of reproduction. It is a retrovirus and an RNA virus that reproduce by means of a DNA molecule. Retroviruses are so named because they reverse the usual DNA to RNA flow of genetic information. These viruses carry molecules of an enzyme called reverse transcriptase, which catalyzes reverse transcription, the synthesis of DNA on an RNA template. What's really tricky about the whole HIV thing, let's see if we talk about it. I was just about to go into tangent land, but we're still talking about HIV, so I'll wait a second. The first type inhabits the action of the enzymes called proteases, which help produce the final version of HIV proteins. The second type, which includes the drug AZT, this is going to be for the drugs that inhibit our HIV, inhibits the action of HIV enzyme reverse transcriptase. The key to AZT's effectiveness is its shape. The shape of the molecule of AZT is very similar to the shape of the T nucleotide. In fact, AZT's shape is so similar to the T nucleotide that AZT can bind to reverse transcriptase instead of the T, but unlike thymine, AZT cannot be incorporated into the growing DNA chain. Thus, AZT gums up the works, interfering with the synthesis of HIV DNA. A lot of the issues with AIDS and HIV specifically is that it evolves very quickly. However, current methods definitely control this disease, and it is no longer the death sentence that it once was, which is very, very nice. There's a nice little video. Okay, is this our last page? Almost. Okay, I guess I could just look down over here and say, oh yes, almost. Let's talk about viroids. So viroids are circular RNA molecules that infect plants. So we're back to plants. Viroids do not encode proteins, but can nonetheless replicate in host plant cells, apparently using cellular enzymes. These small RNA molecules seem to cause disease by interfering with regulatory systems that control plant growth. Even stranger are infectious proteins called prions. Prions, this is thus explaining, my dog takes a pill called Proine for incontinence, and that's why I always want to call it a prion, just realizing that. Okay, so prions are believed to cause a number of degenerative brain diseases in various animal species, including scrapie in sheep and goats, chronic wasting disease in deer and elk, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans, and mad cow disease, which infected over 2 million cattle in the United Kingdom in the 1980s. A prion is thought to be a misfolded form of a protein normally present in brain cells. So remember, they always talk about mad cow because you eat the brain. The cow eats the brain. When the prion enters the cell containing the normal form of the protein, the prion somehow converts the normal protein molecules to a misfolded prion version. To date, there is no known cure for prion diseases, so the only hope of avoiding future illnesses lies in understanding and preventing the process of infection. Some of the stuff is just really hard to understand. In constant studies, especially for things like this, if it says no known version, if you were going to do a report on it, I would still look up the most current scientific research, because who knows, somebody could have made a stride since 2010 when the book was published. Lots of stuff going on. Alright, that is the end of chapter 10 and the end of the week 2 reading. So nice, it's only 3 chapters this week. I hope, even with my tangents, that this helped you understand the reading a little better. And even with the dog barking and the guinea pig whistling, my life is a little chaotic. Enjoy, and I look forward to making some more videos and for you to review them for next week.